Guess who's back? Dr. Ryan McCorkle is back with us on Locked On Spurs. We're going to talk about Wemby.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey guys, this is Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. It's morphin' time.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope everybody's having a great week. I think everybody is still smiling that Wemby is imminent. He's not official yet, but it's obvious the Spurs are going to pick him at number one in just a few short weeks. But we're glad that you are back. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app, Sirius XM radio app. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. We're going to roll out the red carpet. We're going to have the trumpets blaring. We're going to have confetti in the air. We're going to have Princess Leia give Dr. Ryan McCorkle a medal because he's back, everybody. We got to welcome him just like that. Welcome back, Dr. Ryan.
I just can't quit you, Jeff. It's so good to be back. Thanks for having me, man.
Fans can't quit you. There are fans who are going to ask you, when are you going to be back? What's the deal? What's the holdup? You know, Wemby's imminent, not official, but all signs are pointing to the Spurs will get him at number one. So everybody, ask and you shall receive. Dr. Ryan is back. He is with the St. David's Medical Center and he's with the Austin Emergency Center and backstage medical concierge practice. He'll talk about that so in much more detail later on the show. But Dr. Ryan, we got to know, we got to ask, where were you when the Spurs won the draft lottery?
I was firmly planted back in the ER after vacation, and the notification came through on my phone. I had my Spurs jacket around the back of my chair that I was sitting in the ER. I had to put it on and take a victory lap around the ER with the finger in the air. Nobody could tell me nothing.
So it was the lucky jacket. The lucky jacket got it, right?
And our unit coordinator that handles all the phone calls and calling all the specialists and consultants we need, Shane, is a hardcore Houston Rockets fan. So it was even a little bit sweeter to just give him a little nudge, little extra lap around his chair with the Spurs jacket on and the finger in the air.
Did you see the video of Rockets fans reacting to losing out on the draft lottery? It's hilarious.
No, I saw the Spurs reaction, but I did not see the Rockets.
If you want to have a pick-me-up, if you're having a bad day or just a tough day, watch the videos of Rockets fans when they were announced at number 4. They already knew San Antonio wanted. They knew. This one guy is cussing up a storm. He's like, bleep, bleep, this, bleep, bleep. And then in there, you just hear, it's going to be the Spurs. And mind you, they had just announced Rockets. So then they announced Blazers. This one guy, no, it's going to be San Antonio. I don't care if it's the Hornets logo up there as well. It's going to be San Antonio. They reveal the San Antonio card at the end. Disaster. They're in shock. They cannot believe it. The video clip, Doctor, ends with a Rockets fan just screaming at the top of his lungs, we should have never won the coin toss. And that's how it ends.
That makes you wonder, though, even for us as Spurs fans, would you rather it have gone to Detroit or Charlotte or some city that we really don't care about?
Just any team but Houston would have been fine for Spurs fans. But Dr. Ryan, big reason you're back. Obviously, we missed you, but everybody else, yes, was it because I was ignoring him? He was on a long family vacation, and everybody knows this is the off season, so it'll be touch and go. But it's one of those touch times, and that is Wembanyama. He is imminent. The 19-year-old kid is on his way. Spurs fans are thrilled. Season tickets are flying off the shelves. The AT&T Center will be packed. But Spurs fans are still concerned. That's why you're here. Spurs fans were asking me when you're going to be back to talk about him. So let's start off with the injuries. Yes, everybody, there is the other side of Wemby that people don't really talk about, is that he has dealt with injuries. even broken bones. Doctor's going to talk to you about that. Let's start off with the one injury, thing he's been dealing with that doesn't really get highlighted enough is that he actually is dealt with leg and back issues. What did your research find out? What can you tell Spurs fans that'll calm their nerves about leg and back? Because basically that's what got David Robinson. I think he could have played maybe an extra 2 seasons, but his back got caught up to him at the end.
Yeah, well, with Wemby, it's a psoas muscle issue that kind of can pinch on the sciatic nerve and give you that pain from the low back down the leg that I'm sure a lot of our listeners, being, middle age or early middle age, can relate to. That sciatica is miserable. It hurts. But his is involving the psoas muscle, which can respond to stretching and therapy, which he has you highlighted to me, a really extensive regimen, which is great because this is not a disc issue. And that's what David Robinson dealt with. That's what Michael Porter Jr. has had 2 surgeries for. When you start having to mess with the spine and the discs between the spine, it never goes well. Tiger Woods has had, I think, 5 surgeries. Is there anybody in the world who's going to have better medical care than Tiger Woods? And it still just doesn't do well. When you mess with the spine, it's a problem. For Wemby, it is not his spine. It's just that psoas muscle. And with regular stretching before and after, good massage therapists, which of course the Spurs are going to have, and treatment, that'll do fine. It is not a spine issue, and that's something that might scare you. This is something that can be dealt with, no problem.
I know you're talking, the psoas muscle, but can you explain to fans where that is located specifically? You said the spine. Is it on the spine or near the spine?
No, it's kind of deep in the pelvis. If you can imagine, like for our Central Texas barbecue fans, it's the tenderloin. It's a muscle that connects the spine, the low back, down to the femur, but it's a large bellied muscle that connects the two. It is not a part of the spine. It's just one of the muscles that connects to it. That's kind of deep in the pelvis. You can't feel it.
Right. Is this a condition that can get worse though? Because considering, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, sure, you can aggravate it for sure, and when you find it, the movements that you do may set you up to hurt it again. But it's not it's just like if you had a strained calf, you strained your calf. Is it susceptible to being strained again? Sure it is, but it's not a bone issue. It's not a ACL tear or an Achilles tear, one of those devastating things. So this is a psoas strain. It's painful. It's annoying. It can cause sciatica, but it's easily preventable, treatable, and it's not one of those injuries that should scare you off in long term, like people of his build usually have, which involve the feet and ankles, that kind of thing.
What kind of exercise regimen would the Spurs likely do if they do select them, quote unquote? We know they're going to, but you mentioned massage therapy. What about, God, I hate to bring up the L word, but load management? I mean, what about that?
I mean, a psoas strain doesn't really necessarily require load management. It's not like a knee injury or, those or something with the spine. There's psoas stretches. We're saying psoas, but if our listeners are looking it up, it begins with a silent P. It's PSOAS, the psoas muscle. And there are psoas stretches. There are complete yoga classes dedicated to helping stretch out your psoas muscles, because a lot of us who are runners, are basketball players, even just recreational athletes, have a lot of trouble with our psoas becoming tight, getting strained, and causing that low back pain with sciatica. So this is a very common thing for all humans, and it's one of those things that can be like they'll have him with a stretching regimen dedicated just to his psoas. They'll have a massage therapist, and this is not an injury that should scare you off of Wemby at all.
All right. I know you're trying to calm the nerves of Spurs fans right now who are aware of this injury that Wemby has dealt with. But if you look at the 2 leagues he's coming from, the French league to the NBA, the guys are bigger. They're much more athletic and muscular. In the French league, it's not the top league in Europe. It's just the highest league in France. We know his slight frame. And I believe the French league doesn't have a compacted season. I think it's shorter. I think they only play about once or twice a week, and that's it. Could the injury that he's dealt with flare up because of the dramatic shift in NBA basketball competition and the players he's going to be facing?
I mean, that's not anymore. So he probably has more of an advantage than a player coming straight out of high school, AAU,
Mm-hmm.
or even just a 1-year stint in college. I think your French league European players are grown men. He's not been just competing against other
Mm-hmm.
16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds. But no, that's not the other injury he dealt with, the stress fracture on the fibula. That's something
Mm-hmm.
more that you would treat with load management and
Right.
something that could become chronic. I'd worry more about that than I would about the psoas strain.
Well,
that's not something that every rookie is going to have trouble.
right.
We talked about the rookie wall, dealing with the increased load of an NBA season versus a French league season or a college season.
Couldn't think of a better segue than that. We're going to get into the bigger injury, the injury that should cause a little bit more concern with Wembanyama. Imminent. It's almost here. The Wemby era is about to start in San Antonio in just a few short weeks. But first, we're going to be talking with Dr. Ryan McCorkle when we get back. He's going to talk about the other injury that Wemby has dealt with and why that's a little bit more concerning as Wemby gets ready to start his time in the NBA right here with Dr. Ryan McCorkle. Hey, I want to talk to you about Game Time. You got to get the Game Time app right now or just go to gametime.co. Look, buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is fast and easy, and it's a quicker way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. They got killer deals on last-minute tickets, best price guarantees. You can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They have flash deals. You get images of your seats, seat views, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Yeah, I mean, everything you want when you're looking for tickets is there with the Game Time app. So forget months in advance of planning. You don't have to do that. You can get to deals up to the day of the event, whether that be for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You can also get the Game Time guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will give you 110% credit of the difference. Get images of your seat before you buy so you can know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Tickets are sent directly to your phone. You'll never have to dig through your email ever again. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
That's a question you should ask yourself, Megatron.
We're back right here with Dr. Ryan McCorkle. He is talking all things Wemby on the physical side, what to expect, what concerns Spurs fans may have as the Wemby era is almost here. Follow him on Twitter at AustinERDoc. Make sure you do that right now. But the fans missed you, Doc. They missed you. They wanted you back.
That meant a lot to me. I was really honored that they wanted to have me back. I've missed interacting with them as well. So good to be back with you too.
Exactly. Well, let's keep talking about Wemby and the issues, physical issues that he's dealt with overseas in France. You alluded to it. You started talking about it before the break. Here we are. He's had a femur break. Is that correct? A stress fracture,
No,
I believe. No,
definitely not.
Okay.
Anatomy is important. So the femur, that would be terrifying. So that's the large bone of your thigh, the biggest bone in the body. Connects your hip to your knee. That's your femur. Mm-hmm. What he had was a stress fracture of the fibula, which is the smallest bone.
Okay.
It's so you have two bones in your lower leg that go from your knee to your ankle. The big one is your tibia. The small one that forms the lateral malleolus, the bump you can feel on the outside of your ankle, that's the tip of the fibula that runs up to your knee, the smaller bone. So what he had was a stress fracture of that small bone in the fibula. If you remember, Terrell Owens played in the Super Bowl with a completely broken fibula. So it's not the major load-bearing bone of your lower leg. It's the secondary one outside. The most common injury of that type is what we call shin splints, which are stress fractures of the tibia, little small ones, microfractures. So he had that, but in that smaller bone called the fibula. it just involves, like we talked about, load management, stretching the gastrocnemius, the soleus, those big muscles down in the calf and the lower leg. But yeah, anytime someone that that has the build of Wemby, we don't like to hear about anything that involves the foot and ankle, because it's just been so many players of that build that have gone through those things that have shortened their career substantially. Yao Ming, even the injury last year to the Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Chet Holmgren,
Yeah, Chet Holmgren. Been a lot of those dealt with Lisfranc fractures in their feet. But what he had was a stress fracture of the fibula, which in and of itself, not super concerning, but we don't like to see anything around the feet and ankles of those big guys.
I mean, look at Tim Duncan, he had that foot issue too that really hurt him throughout his career. So he dealt with foot issues, and even go further back, George Murison, remember him? He had foot issues too. So again, the idea here is that players, Wemby size and height, that's what they succumb to. So you sound a little nervous about this injury that he's dealt with, these microfractures. Why is this a cause of concern?
Like I said, it's not in and of itself a stress fracture of the fibula, not a big deal. It's basically a glorified shin splint. But you don't like to see that in a player this young already, and it does make you worry about load management, the increased length of the season, more games, going against faster. He could end up with something chronic where his leg, I mean, it's not going to end a career, but that he could deal with pain and have to sit a game or two, ice, that kind of thing, if it became a chronic problem. And we don't know that yet. This is what we're doing right now. It's what we do in the off season, the conjecture. But if you ask me which injury is more concerning, I'd say the repetitive stress injury of a fibular stress fracture is way more concerning than a psoas strain, which can happen to anybody.
Do you expect him to be? It's probably a stupid question. Maybe just not for Wemby, but for anybody dealing with these type of microfractures, to wear some sort of splint on the leg. I know there's compression. I guess apparel. It's like there's really tight sleeves. That's what it look like. Could that help?
Yeah. For some support, you'll see a lot of players wearing those calf sleeves in the NBA, and that's most likely, like I said, the shin splints of the tibia are more common. But that's probably why they're wearing those. And I would imagine Wemby will probably end up wearing those if this were to flare up again.
Well, it's good to know. But look, I mean, he's 19 years old. I gotta wonder though, Doctor. At 19, do you think his bone plates are fused already? Could this teenager grow any taller?
I mean, absolutely. There's all kinds of examples of that. Dennis Rodman growing late. A lot of people. And without looking at an X-ray, you don't know. You just have to see if the growth plates are open or closed. When you start to get up to that size, you start to wonder things like George Murison, where they had the pituitary adenomas that release growth hormone. And, even if the growth plates fuse, they'll continue the nose and the ears continue to grow. Wemby doesn't appear to have those classic features of that pituitary adenoma. And without an X-ray, I wouldn't know if his growth plates are fused. But I haven't seen any reports that he's grown markedly in the last year or two. So if I had to guess, just a medical guess, I'd say he's probably finished growing at this point.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Do you see that picture of him standing next to Rudy Gobert, and he's dwarfing Rudy Gobert?
Yes, that really got my attention.
If that doesn't get your attention about this kid coming into the NBA wearing a Spurs jersey, I mean, I don't know what will. But that's not to say that Wembanyama is making sure that his legs, his feet, his everything is set for the NBA, let alone in France. When we get back, we're going to discuss the infamous Wemby warm-up videos. Yes, you heard about the Steph Curry warm-up shots, and everybody flocking to see that. Everybody flocks to see Wembanyama's warm-up routine. Dr. Ryan got a look at that. He's going to give his reaction right here on Locked On Spurs. Once again, make sure to follow Dr. Ryan McCorkle on Twitter at AustinERDoc. He'll talk about the backstage medical concierge practice in just a few minutes. Hey, but I want to also talk to you about PrizePicks. Look, you got to get PrizePicks right now. They have this $1 million daily Superflex promotion going on throughout the NBA playoffs, finals. So basically every day of the NBA finals and the playoffs, one PrizePick user will get a chance to become a millionaire. One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time will be randomly selected each day. Whoever placed that entry will then be given a 6-pick flex with the following payouts: 6 correct picks, $1 million; 5 correct picks, $80,000; 4 correct picks, $16,000. You can go to prizepicks.com/million. You must opt in at that link to be eligible for the $1 million entry. Once you opt in, all you got to do is play the game like normal, and you could be the lucky winner. But overall, you got to get yourself the Game Time app right now. You don't compete against anybody else. It's just you versus the projections available. You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And you basically pick 2 to 6 players. If you're going to score more or less than the PrizePick projections, you can win. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super easy, safe, and fast withdrawals. Operational in over 30 states and in Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can get themselves a 100% deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit 100, PrizePicks gives you 100. You deposit 50, PrizePicks will give you 50. Enter promo code Locked On to sign up and get that instant deposit match up to $100. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Dr. Ryan McCorkle talking all things Wemby and his health as he is set to start his NBA career in just a few short weeks. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every day. You guys are the everydayers. Guess what we're going to be talking about tomorrow's show? Yep, more Wembanyama. So get ready for that. Doctor, you had a chance to look at that infamous Wemby warm-up video. I alluded to it before the break that everybody flocks to see Steph Curry's shooting warm-up. Everybody in France flocks to see Wemby's warm-up routine. What did you take away from that? What did you notice? It looked like there was a big focus on rubber band work.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you bring up the Steph Curry thing. People go to see a shooting warm-up, but that he also has the extensive band workout. And if you remember, Steph had a whole lot of trouble with his feet and ankles coming out of Davidson. And he had to completely revamp the way he carries his weight on the balls of his feet. And that's what you're seeing Wembanyama go through, is kind of that same body mechanics training of how you run, how you jump, how you land. Because Steph Curry's career was going to be cut short because he could not keep his ankles healthy. They rolled constantly. So he went through this whole shakeup of the way he ran, the way he walked, jumped, everything. And Wembanyama's going through that same thing. So it's really good to see, earlier in his career, before he's had a ton of problems the way that Steph did. But I think that's a really good comparison, those two pregame warm-ups.
Why is rubber band work so important? And why should the listeners, let alone Wemby, do it? It'll, because I've tried it. I don't feel anything. If anything, it just feels like it's going to give me a good stretch. And is that the whole point of it?
Well, you're getting resistance while going through the actual motions that you do in a game. Like wearing the rubber bands while you're doing a defensive slide. So it's doing the biomechanics of what you're going to do during a game, but adding resistance to it, almost like wearing ankle weights, and playing, and then when you take them off. It's that kind of thing. It's being able to get resistance training, but resistance with the actual small muscles that you're going to use instead of just, pumping iron. So that's why it's really useful. And it's also not, you're less likely to injure yourself.
Right.
You've seen people, on a bench arching their back and straining and doing all that. You're not going to do that when you're using rubber bands. I'm
watching the video right now, and I got to ask you, what's up with the Fred Flintstone Twinkle Toes bowling approach? Did you see that? Wemby goes through this very short little burst with his toes, and basically, if you've seen the Fred Flintstone Twinkle Toes bowling approach, that's basically what it looks like, Doctor. What's the point of that?
Well, I think he's being proactive about it, because I'm sure everybody in his camp, he's been the golden goose for as long as they can remember, and they know that people of that size have foot and ankle problems. So he's being proactive, doing that Steph Curry thing of learning to bear weight on the balls of your feet, on your toes, doing that twinkle toe routine to prevent plantar fasciitis, those metatarsal fractures that those players are prone to, Liz Franck fractures, that kind of thing. And it also stretches his gastrocnemius and his soleus, which are those things that we said protect that fibular stress fracture. So I think it's a great routine that he's going through. And the fact that you've got somebody his age doing that says a lot about his mental makeup and the people that he has around him. Because I think you remember when you played and you were that age, your coach trying to get you to stretch was like pulling teeth.
Yeah. And he's definitely open to it. And I think his camp is aware. I'm pretty sure he is aware of the history of players his size, not just in the NBA, just all over in professional leagues. Players his size go through those issues, and those foot issues derail careers. I was worried for a while Tim Duncan's career might have gone short when he was dealing with plantar fasciitis. Remember when he had it really bad couple seasons? And I was like, no, could this be it for TD early?
Yeah, and I think him slimming down and not carrying as much weight on those feet and ankles and the plantar fascia really helped extend Tim's career. And also, being able to change the way you play and not involving as much explosion.
Right.
It's when you're a younger player.
Well, look, I think all of Spurs fandom right now, they're excited, they're happy, but I'm glad you're on because they are also aware of the history of big players, tall players, of Wemby's injuries. And it's not getting highlighted enough, and I get it. His PR team probably ain't going to let that stuff out like, oh, the micro fractures. Fans hear micro fractures, that's the first they're going to flip out. What? What's going on here? Or that fancy term. I cannot pronounce it. It starts with a P again. What was that word again?
The psoas muscle.
Psoas. Thank you. They hear big words like psoas. Like what? It was not the prize possession, but it just.
Here's how we remember it in medical school. Yeah. You'll never forget it now. If you strain your psoas muscle, you have a sore ass, and so that's how it's so ass. That's how.
Now I'm going to remember that now. Yeah, I remember now. See, now the problem is now I don't want to be, when I'm talking to Wemby next season, be like, so how's your sore ass? Something like that. Is it flaring up again? I don't want to go through that, right? And I'm going to blame it on Dr. We know Wemby, it was Dr. McCorkle. He taught me that. That's the only way I remembered it. But he is Dr. Ryan McCorkle. He is back, everybody, this week right here on Locked On Spurs. So, Doctor, what's going on? How was Barcelona? Any new sneakers you got? Let's catch up here.
Oh, man. Did Barcelona, San Sebastian, then Lisbon, and the Algarve in Portugal. And it was just incredible. It's my second time going back to Barcelona and Lisbon and the Algarve, which I love. It was my first time in San Sebastian. Incredible food. Found a sneaker shop in Barcelona. Luka's a huge deal over there because he played in Madrid forever. Went to a soccer match with FC Barcelona. Mm-hmm. That was incredible. 110,000 people in a soccer stadium in Europe is a sight to behold. Okay. Tried to go get to this hotel that was recommended in Barcelona to have something to eat in the lobby. They wouldn't let me in. I was like, well, why can't I come in? And the guy was real nice and just said, look over my shoulder. And there's Bruce Springsteen and President Obama having a drink together. They were both staying there in that hotel. And Bruce was playing 2 shows there in Barcelona, and the Obamas had flown over to check them out. So that was incredible. I tried to go to the Picasso Museum the next day. Same thing, shut down for private Bruce and Barack a showing. It's like, well, there's worse reasons to miss out on that. So that was pretty cool being near them on the trip.
Did they not know who you are? I mean, did they not know that you're Dr. Ryan McCorkle?
I mean, I just did backstage medical for Bruce and the E Street Band
That's what I'm saying.
A month ago. They already forgot about me. And
I'm saying, come on, Bruce. Come on there.
A little higher security level when President Obama is around.
Hey, what are your thoughts about John Moran and the Nike situation? It looks like they low key kind of pulled one of his drops.
Yeah, I love those shoes. I thought they were one of the best first releases, that we've seen in a long time. Just my personal preference. I really liked it. It was a classic look. I like the wraparound swoosh kind of and I really like the colorways. But yeah, Ja's been going through a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully he will get it back on track.
Are you seeing a decline in the value of his sneakers? Are you seeing a decline in the value of his sneakers right now because of what's going on?
I haven't looked. Like you said, they kind of low key pulled the release, and aren't emphasizing it anymore for obvious reasons. So I haven't seen even if what's happening to him on StockX, but I would imagine the secondary market is not super hot for those at the moment. But
I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some Wemby shoes when they come. You're gonna get some of those Wemby shoes when they come out. They haven't announced anything, but obviously Nike's touting him right now. So obviously I think he's signed with Team Nike. So I can't wait.
Let's see what they look like. I'm not a big fan of the Freaks, the Giannis shoes, the Greek Freaks. I wasn't a huge fan of LeBron's, or I love the KD UT specific colorways, but other than that, I don't know. I'm just showing my age of being a pretty much set in my ways. Jordan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, and 13, and that's pretty much it. But if I see something that blows me away, then so I talked about maybe getting some of those Lucas, but I never pulled the trigger on it because it's never.
You would think that his sneakers would be out there in Spain because that's where he spent, his final Euro seasons with before making the leap to the NBA.
Oh, they were pretty big, and he has that specific colorway, the Matador. It's red and
nice
gold.
Yeah,
and that is specifically for Madrid, the one who played there.
Nice. All right. Well, he is Dr. Ryan McCorkle. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at AustinERDoc. He's with the St. David's Medical Hospital and Emergency Room and the Austin Emergency Room. He's everywhere in Austin, but specifically with the Backstage Medical Concierge practice. How's that going for you?
Oh, it's going great. I did the Cure when they were here at Moody Center last weekend, which was a lot of fun. And we had the iHeart Country and did some backstage there for Ellie King, and we Jason Isbell was in town for three nights, and I went to those shows because they've been really great with the Backstage Medical. He and his wife Amanda Shires, and so we've had a lot going on since getting back from Spain and Portugal, but all good things, and there's a ton of shows coming up here at the Moody Center.
Once again, he is Dr. Ryan McCorkle, also on Instagram at AustinEMDoc. Make sure to check that out. There you can see all his sneakers and his collection. It's pretty impressive. But thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. As mentioned, we are free and available wherever we get podcasts, Google Play, Stitchers, iTunes, the Kens 5 Plus app, and now on Sirius XM Radio. You guys are the everydayers. Again, no shocker here. More Wemby talk tomorrow. So for Dr. Ryan McCorkle, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.